Welcome back everybody, welcome back to the Tomb of Illumination. This is part 2 of the video we're doing regarding Ptolemy's geocentric model of the cosmos and how it's associated with the system we use today, about the ellipses or the perceived ellipses, motions of the planets, and connecting it with Kepler and Newton, whether it's heliocentric or geocentric. And so we're just showing you how all this is all garbage. Well, I'm showing you how it's all just garbage. They have no idea what they're talking about, and right till this day, that NASA today, they're all just fudging the whole system. So you can't go online and find any truth regarding this matter, because either one, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about, or they don't want you to know that the Earth is actually flat. So I've got the first video. Read the subscription, description, sorry. And I break a few things down. I don't get too carried away because I could end up writing a whole flipping book on there. So I've just stopped short of explaining everything, but you'll get the gist of it in the description there of video 1. I might add more to video 2. So anyway, so everything boils down to magnetism, and now modern science has just connected it and they call it gravity. Gravity is actually magnetism, and you'll find on YouTube now there's this series on magnets, and they're exposing what I've been explaining for years. It's all coming out now, okay? We have the sun magnetically locked on the horizon of the black hole. And Earth is like a ring magnet. You can lock a magnet or a ball bearing on the horizon of the hole. It'll lock there and it'll stay there. In our earthly system, the sun moves around it. That's the unseen pure plasma sun, magnetically locked in the center Arctic. Just like we have the tokamak plasma being magnetically locked. That's the unseen one, but we see it out at our end of the Milky Way, which is out in the tropical gap. And this is the one you can imagine it as one magnetic field line sweeping around the Earth, which science calls the poloidal. Okay, it's moving around. It's the poloidal with axial. Okay, poloidal. And the toroidal is the field that comes out from the south over to the tropical gap to Cancer, and the one coming out of the north over to Cancer. That's the radial system magnetization. But in the earthly system we have this poloidal where the sun is moving around. So the field changes. Well, there's more to that. The field's changing all the time as it's swinging over, going to the tropics and down through the Earth and back up at the opposite Arctic. It's always changing there. But as the sun comes around, the magnetic fields basically zoom into the sun, and the potential energy difference, because there's a phi ratio difference, creates the spark which feeds the sun. It's the sun, the spark, in this unequal potential energy difference feeds the sun, but at the same time finds a balance between the offset, the phi ratio, and then feeds up through the Milky Way on the horizon of the black hole. And the black hole represents the state of balance. So that balance the field has just created here at the sun, the remnants you could say, feeds the stillness of the black hole. Because at the center of the black hole is the place of rest. It's balance. And Earth has come from that perfect place of balance to create our beautiful realm, run by evil pieces of shite. So this is why the ancients say that Earth is from the whole, because it's fixed and stationary. Okay? Anyway, I'm going for hours or days about that. So you have to stop and come back to this silly theory of Ptolemy, who I had faith in, but do not now. You know, these epicycles he had. What's moving it out and in? See, there's nothing can do that. There's only one system in the ring magnet, and that's the poloidal moving this way, and the radial. You could say the radial is moving in and out, but no. Well, that's another story, because what happens is the seasonal change of Earth, the southern hemisphere stars, or everything contracts up and then back out again. You're not told that in science for sure. The southern hemisphere stars move north. You do not see the overlay in here, but the overlay up here creates the changing constellations. This is the centre north. It's a slice of the donut through here, a cross section, tropical gaps. So one could argue that because of that it's creating this pull and push, but no, because I've only drawn one cycle of the planet here, say Venus or whatever. You've got all the other planets out here, and they're supposedly doing this system too, turning as they revolve around the Earth and going out and in. But the Earth only contracts in and out once per year. You can't have all the planets doing all their in and outs when there's only one system revolving and moving in at the same time. This is the tropical year, when it moves in, contracts out. All to do with magnetism. You're not flying around a ball out in La La Land. So there is ridiculous, because there's no system pulling everything out and bringing it back in. In a ring magnet, you've got the central vortex, the place of convergence or divergence. You can't have them converging and diverging all over the place in one system. Earth is just this one system, all governed by the central vortex, this turning vortex. Okay, and here you have the S cycle. This is why the stars do an S cycle over 12 hours, because they've got to come back up for another S. So in total it's a 3D8. This is why we get the spiral effect in the stars. So down in this vortex here we have all the stars and the moon projected up at night, straight up into the night sky. If you look down into the Buford Gaia, it's going clockwise. Take that and shine it straight up into the sky, it's anti-clockwise. The sky is doing anti-clockwise rotations. Polaris, look, is the sun. The pure plasma sun that we do not see is on the horizon of the black hole. It's a star. Physics tells us it's a star. It's doing a circle. It's magnetically locked. We'll say this is the star. This is the star, look. Magnetically locked on the horizon. This is a bit different today. There. If it doesn't wander off. Magnetically locked on the horizon. It moves around the horizon of the hole. It doesn't fall in the hole. Okay, that's the star, the lucky star that got locked in place and became illuminated to create the sun. It does circles and projects out into the its arm is the Milky Way, which comes into our realm like an umbilical cord from the creator to the created, mother to the child. We are in this realm here, still connected back to God, the God zone, creator, via the Milky Way. We can only get back via the fire, the Milky Way fire. It's a spiritual thing, a religious thing, but it's all here in physics. That's basically what religion is. It boils down to physics. It's the physics of the flat earth system. So Polaris doing a small rotation, moves around what they call the barycenter, but it's actually the black hole. The sun down here moving around the black hole. As the whole vortex turns, you get all the starry night sky turning. That is the northern hemisphere. But at the tropical boundary, there's a metaphysical mirror. It's to do with magnetism. We'll get to the bottom of that sooner or later, probably sooner than later. as things are coming out with magnetism, it creates the mirror effect. And that's basically, one second, the mirror effect is because of this system here. So, put this aside. You could take this here as one of these. Just keep it arched at a 180 degree curve. Or put it at the centre where you got the flat northern hemisphere. And it's this curving field creates the parabolic images back to the observer. Because everything's coming out of the centre, right? The central vortex in the centre here, turning, is casting out parabolic images on this curving field, concave field, back to the observer, who always stands zenith to his arc of horizon. So you could put him at the centre of this. This is what he sees around him. He's at the centre of the universe. So you paint this black and you rotate stars in here, you get the reflection inside here is hologram. A system similar to this. There's your vortex, central vortex. You put that up in there. There's more to it than this though. And turn it. It's basically what you're getting, reflecting off the sides here, back to the observer at night. So you go online and it mentions that Kepler had his sun fixed and stationary to create his ellipses. But then at the same time online it will say he had the sun moving around the barycenter. And then on another post you'll find that came later, realizing that the sun was moving. So it's all lies. Okay? He initially had the sun fixed as a focal point, foci, for the planet to wander out and then come back in. And he tries to tell us that the sun, as the planet came close to the sun, it went quicker and then wandered out here and went slower. That's all BS. All the planets do concentric circles. We see them like this. There's the sun, there's a planet. Look, it's close. The sun's moved around the barycenter, the black hole. Look, the planets are further away. They're not moving quicker or slower. They're staying at a steady pace, circling the center, the Barry point, the black hole center of creation. This is there at the center. Everything's circling. Now, why they call them wandering planets as opposed to the background stars is because all the stars are down here in the vortex, the S-cycle curving vortex. But the planets are up on the plane. They're on the plane doing concentric circles. They're not doing this curve here. But when you dive deep, you find they are doing a similar thing because of the flexing of the ecliptic plane. It's the diaphragm. You have a vortex, you have a diaphragm. You've got a heart, it's a diaphragm. I'm sorry, you have a heart, that's a vortex, and it's got a diaphragm. Creation's diaphragms at the top, created diaphragms at the bottom. Bottom of the heart, top of creation here. That flexes all around, down for it. No, apparently, a lot of earlier videos I had it wrong. I had it back to front. The system flexes. You got your flat plane here. That's the ecliptic plane. It's flat. Okay. From there, there's your V like that. What happens is this flexes down and out, taking the magnetic field out to the south, where it pops the sun out to Antarctica for 24/7 for 5 to 6 months of the year. But then it comes back up and basically it swells up. So you imagine that tracks down, so the sun moves down. But then, let's take that off, shall we? It comes up. It starts moving back up. And that's up and in. Draws the sun up and in for the northern hemisphere. 24 sun around the Arctic. Now, you look at this, that's the sovereign orb. The sovereign orb, the Queen's holding. Have you seen that thing? This is the system in here, referring to the sovereign orb that people think is the globe. Is the globe. No. The globe is the two hemispheres of man put together to create the 360. His hemisphere is a 180 degree arc of horizon, and you need one for each hemisphere. So you put them together and draw the pictures of your continents on it and tell you live on the outside of that thing. When all along you always put at the centre. You always put the centre of the arc. And everything, all the celestial bodies come back to you perpendicular off that arc. Everybody's seen the sun come directly to them. You can stand in your mate's a mole down the road and the sun's going to come to him. How does it do that? Because it's always perpendicular to the observer, no matter what. So this in and out's nonsense. They all do their concentric circles at their consistent pace. Nothing speeds up or slows down. Because what's happening is the sun is here. The sun's not out here, like they still try to tell us today. It's all bullshit. The sun is there on the horizon of the black hole. And these are the planets. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And because the sun is on the inside track and it moves the quickest, it catches up to these planets and passes them. As they approach the planet, they're telling you the sun is fixed, therefore the planet's going that way. As the sun's coming towards it, they're telling you the planet's going towards the sun. And then the sun passes it, and then all of a sudden they're all going the same direction again. So retrograde's over. All garbage. Well, they understand that. They know it's all, perception. And they're telling us that everything's moving in the one direction. But you'll find a lot of things are changing online since I started showing all this information, all the physics on my site. And I've been going for about 7 years now. Specifically the moving sun. Now it's right there on the horizon of the black hole, moving 15 degrees per hour, and out of that centre comes the Milky Way. Now the other thing is, I've been saying to my followers that we see what's in here at night, the Milky Way at night, the sun here. The galactic bulge in the Milky Way is the sun we do not see. It's this one back here, the pure plasma. But no, it doesn't work that way. I could never figure it out exactly, but it's finally dawned on me because it explains a lot of things. Excuse me. When you realise it's this, our sun and our perceived reality. It's this one. It's the back of the sun and the Milky Way. And one reason is because when you're in the north, that galactic bulge, you have to look to the southern horizon. Well, you're in the north here, you're looking to the southern horizon towards Capricorn, the equator. That's where the bulge is. That's where you see it. Okay? In the southern hemisphere, we see it pretty much at this end because this is mirrored to here. The Arctic is mirrored to the Antarctic. Everything that's happening in the Arctic is happening in the Antarctic, but it's inverted. Okay? Our sun comes out of the south, swings around, comes east, south, southeast, east, comes over us, goes over our horizon, you know, north, out of our horizon, over our horizon, west, then goes southwest, south, actually goes around as a loop, but it's a long story. Okay, so I look up at the Milky Way here in the southern hemisphere, and the light, you know, the light's gone down at this end of the Milky Way when it's gone back around, gone right back around. And the Milky Way comes from the south over to our tropical boundary, celestial tropical boundary. At the moment you'll see it coming towards Orion's belt. The bulge is over to the southern end. Okay? Understanding that. So Kepler's law of motions is all crap. Newton, he seemed to know a bit, and I think they just fudged his information. Being Freemasons, wanted to stick with the old ball and control the minds of many. You know, they control all the churches, and all the money that goes into the churches. It's all one big club. They're just like fractions of the main, you know, the Vatican basically. They're all offshoots, all their own little, you know, businesses or corporations. All comes back to the Freemasons. So let's talk about what they've got here. NASA's been saying, or wants to say, planetary motion is the history of an idea that launched the scientific revolution. In the black dome of night, the stars seem fixed in their patterns. And they are. They rotate through the sky over the seasons so unchangingly that most cultures have used the presence of one or another constellation to tell time. Now, the ancients knew they were not unchanging. They knew they were changing because, like I said before, the southern hemisphere rotation of stars, they work like this. As it's turning around the entire central, so the northern hemisphere, the whole star rotation is moving around. It's also moving north, and it starts changing the constellations. Then it moves away again. So that you can't say it's unchanging. It is changing. They knew that. I've read it all in all the myths and legends and the religious stories. The planets, however, are different, puzzling. They glide slowly and seemingly erratically across the sky. Attempts to explain why the planets move as they do lead to modern science understanding of gravity and motion. It's Newton and Kepler's gravity of BS. You just got there on the flat plane, all the stars are below it. You've got the 3D below it, the flat plane above it. Planets. Planets represent the male, which is the hermaphrodite, male and female, X and Y chromosome. Then down here you only have the X's, the female. And when it comes to solar eclipse, it's about cancelling out the frequency, resonant frequency, because you've got to consider the X and the Y, and the X is the X cancelling out the X, the other X, the planetary X. Our whole realm comes from sound. It's all based on frequency. Sound, and sound creates light. All the images comes from light. They show you an image here of the planets doing this, or the stars and planets actually. Planets only because you got this system going. We're looking at them like this, close. They give it a spiral look. Many ancient and medieval cultures believed the stars and the planets rotated around a fixed Earth. And they do, because this is what's moving in here. That's the vortex moving our whole night sky. The fixed and stationary plane of Earth is the inertial plane between the two forces of nature. One's coming this way, the other one's coming up this way. There's the inertial plane. That's the ring magnet. That's the flux of the ring magnet. You don't need a container to hold the flux of a magnet, do you? No. As you wander away from the magnet, our atmospheric pressure reduces. The magnetic flux reduces. You've got reduced pressure, but in the Earth we have more compaction, more pressure. This is where we get down to granite. Everything compacts to granite. Bring it up, you come up to a nice fluffy topsoil. Granite, topsoil. And it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, doesn't it? And because it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, your science wants to think that it eventually goes into a vacuum. But that's beyond us. There's nothing out there. We can't get out past this line. You'll die before you get there. Well, devices, certain things will get so high, if you keep them under pressure, there's no way we can get out. But the vacuum of space, you can say, is in here. That's outside of our realm. We cannot get in there. It's like going back in your mother's womb. Can you do that? Although in our system, we're still connected by the umbilical cord, which is the Milky Way. But only our souls, our spirit, can get through there. Physically, we cannot. The complex motions of the planets, which sometimes move backwards across the sky, retrograde motions, they're still mentioning it when they know it doesn't. Astronomers led Renaissance astronomers to question this geocentric theory. These astronomers discovered the laws of orbital mechanics, transforming natural philosophy into the practice of science. No, it's all natural philosophy because it's of the metaphysical. Just as we have the metaphysical capacitor plates, Cancer and Capricorn, creating the dielectric in here, or the ionization between the planes, or what they call radiation, and the electromagnetic induction to create the sun. And like I say, it finds the balance in here in the changing magnetic fields to feed back into the black hole, to feed the black hole, to keep that going. Everything's feeding each other. Okay? Yeah, and it's all related to the human body, because within here, we know this, in the female, you got the, it goes like this, doesn't it? You got the fallopian tubes, are they? Yeah, these things here. Well, we know the winds are working like this, and the winds come around and go like that. In the southern hemisphere, they come to the tropical boundaries of Cancer and Capricorn, and then they swing west. See this extra movement in here, not this wide plowshare here, but this extra movement here in the wind and in the magnetic field of Earth. That extra curve there causes them to tell us that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. This extra bit here, because of this bulging here, they want you to think, you know, the Earth is bulging at that equator line here because of the wind. It's all to do with magnetism, magnetic field, and what the stars are doing, because the stars sort of follow this cycle, the pattern. Of all the discoveries and opinions, none may have extended a greater effect on the human spirit than the doctrine of Copernicus. The world has scarcely become known as round and complete in itself when it was asked to waive the tremendous privilege of being the centre of the universe. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. The ancient Greek philosopher whose ideas, no, he's just a Joe Blow, this guy. The true philosopher knows the truth. You're getting the truth here, trust me. The ancient Greek philosopher whose ideas shaped the worldview of Western civilization leading up to the scientific revolution in the 16th century had conflicting theories about why the planets moved across the sky. One camp thought that the planets orbited around the sun, but Aristotle, whose ideas prevailed, believed that the planets and the sun orbited Earth. He saw no sign that the Earth was in motion, no perpetual wind blew over the surface of the Earth, and a ball thrown straight up into the air doesn't land behind the thrower, as Aristotle assumed it would if the Earth were moving. For Aristotle, this meant that the Earth had to be stationary and the planets, the sun, and the fixed dome of stars rotate around the Earth. For nearly 1,000 years, Aristotle's views of the stationary Earth at the centre of the revolving universe dominated natural philosophy, the name that scholars of the time used for studies of the physical world. A geocentric worldview became ingrained in Christian theology, making it a doctrine of religion as much as a natural philosophy. Despite that, it was a priest who brought back the idea that the Earth moved around the sun. And then, of course, Galileo came along and carried on with Copernicus' BS. Galileo is just an average guy who, with some ideas, trying to search out the truth, and he got it all wrong too. He's going to put the flipping sun at the centre. But like I've said in earlier videos, it's a bit of both. The sun is at the centre, look, but it's just off centre. Okay? But it's based off the Earth. So it's at the centre of the Earth. So the Earth is at the centre. Everything's centred on the Earth. But at the same time in the system here, the sun is centre of the system. All the planets and everything go around the sun. Everything is moving around. Well, they don't pass the sun though. But the sun is in the inside track. So really we need to be saying it's the black hole, that's the centre. But because the Earth is fixed and stationary and it's from the hole, then this is Earth. So expressed out of here into the created realm from the Creator is Earth. Fixed and stationary, black hole, which is Earth, has the sun moving around it, doesn't it? We all see it. We all see the planets moving around it with the sun. So in 1550, a Polish priest named Nicholas Copernicus proposed that the Earth was a planet. We know all that. Oh, let's read on. Earth was like a planet, like Venus and Saturn, and I'm going to stuff the Earth up here too. It's just a joke. I've explained in the earlier video how Mercury and Venus are seen in the system here. They're not outside of the Earth. They're just like the other planets, except they're in really close to the sun. Very close to the sun. That's why we have an evening star and the morning star. It's the only time when the light's separated that we can see the star from the sunlight. Okay? And like I mentioned also, we might be able to see it at the back of the Milky Way in front of Sagittarius A, the galactic bulge. Aries should be there, but who is to decipher which star is which? He thought Earth was like Venus or Saturn, and that all planets circled the sun, which they do over there. Afraid of criticism, some scholars think Copernicus was more concerned about scientific shortcomings of his theories than he was about the church's disapproval. He did not publish the theory until 1543, shortly before his death. The theory gathered few followers, and for a time some of those who did give credence to the idea face charges of heresy. Italian scientist Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake for teaching. And science likes to refer back to Bruno's theory. And he was full of it as well. He had no idea. And then along came what's his name? Galileo. And he got crap from the church too. That was good. The original church believed what is written to be the truth, because it is the truth. That's why it's written, and we've kept it for millennia, because the divine truth is in there. Man is deceived. He's simple-minded. He doesn't understand reality. He is deceived by his eyes. It's a perfect example here. But the evidence for the heliocentric model system gradually mounted when Galileo pointed his telescope into the night sky in 1610. He saw for the first time in human history that moons orbited Jupiter. No, he's once again deceived. We don't see the stars as 3D. He cannot see the moons going around the back of Jupiter. No, he's just a basic, simple man who thinks it is. Because you've got to see this as like notes. It all comes from sound. You've got the note. Well, what's between the note and piano? What do you call it? A flat or something. The moon zones. Light, moon, like positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. We know the whole magnetic system is positive, negative, or north, south, north, south, north, south. Checkerboard system. Freemasons know that. The moons are in here. And they do not go around. Once again, it would be like this. What's moving it out and coming back in? There is no such system. It's the central vortex. That's all it does. It doesn't go No, it's all garbage. While Galileo did not share Bruno's fate, he was tied to heresy under the Roman Inquisition and placed under house arrest for life. I just read his book recently. It's quite interesting. Especially his sister. And it takes you back to cloistered. The nuns were cloistered. His sister was cloistered as a nun all her life. Oh, that's just crazy. That's crazy religious stuff. And cloistered, the word cloistered goes back to the human brain. Claustrum. You've got claustrum in the brain. It's closed system until it's opened. The gates of heaven will not be shut once they're opened. It's a long spiritual story. You might want to join my Patreon to find all the deeper stuff to the meaning of life and this earth we're in. At about the same time, German mathematician Johann Kepler was publishing a series of laws that described the orbits of the planets around the sun, still in use today. See? We're all deceived. I'm not. The mathematical questions provided accurate predictions of the planets. Yeah, well, they created mathematical equations to make it work, seem logical, but the math doesn't make it physical reality. Movements under Copernican theory. In 1687, Isaac Newton put the final nail in the coffin for the Aristotelian geocentric view of the universe. Building on Kepler's laws, Newton explained why the planets moved as they did around the sun, and he gave the force that kept them in check a name: gravity. I could go on all day, but I won't. So you've got to understand magnetism, the ring magnet. Everything is centrally locked in this center here. That's creation. What's hidden in here is all the spiritual side of religion. It's the secret. And it goes back to the black hole, the state of rest, where a north and south finds equilibrium, and then there's the the third entity. What's happening once they find rest equilibrium? And this is associated to the CIA papers, that theory of when the left and right hemispheres of the brain can sync, and it's a taste of the divine spiritual illumination, rebirth, the whole Jesus story actually, where they can sync together, overlay. And this is basically what the Earth does too in the seasonal change. It finds a sync point in the season. And that's what all the mythological stories and all religion are connected to. So I'll leave it at that. If you want to join my Patreon, feel free. You'll have to go to Saints to find the real knowledge. We'll call this video 2, and we'll go on to a third one soon, which involves a lot of stuff I've written and screenshots, breaking things down a bit more. But realise Earth is the centre of the system. It's the system, nothing outside of it. It's all centred. It's self-illuminated. So does man self-illuminate himself in his rebirth story. Earth self-illuminates. That's why I've called my site the Tomb of Illumination. Basically a tomb that's illuminated. Okay, don't forget to put a likes up and share it, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.